Well, hello there guys and welcome back to my channel. And in this video we are going to talk about the final loop called the for loop of C. And that loop is the most used loop, at least by me, in this coding. Whenever I need to use the loop, I use for loop. So I have my while loop over here, and the for loop is basically combined of these three things: this thing, this condition, and this incrementation. So for loop is combined version of initialization and condition and the incrementation part. So here's how you write the for loop: for bracket I equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. Do not forget those semicolons in between, because that's the syntax. If you don't do that, the compiler will lose its mind. And now, since we are initializing I over here, we don't need to do that over here. And since we are incrementing I over here, we don't need to do that over here. So I'm gonna get rid of it. So here's the working. It takes I, sets it to 0, then checks if I is less than 0. 0 is less than 10. Yes, true. It executes this, and then it increments I by 1. So now I becomes 1. Then it again checks the condition if I is less than 10, which means 1 is less than 10. True. Executes it. Again increments by 1. Now the I becomes 2. 2 is less than 10. Again executes it. And then so on. It keeps on doing it till this condition is false, which in this case we say I was 8. And now I gets incremented. It becomes 9. 9 is less than 10. It will execute. Then I will increment itself again. Now I becomes 10. 10 is not less than 10, because 10 is equal to 10. So this condition is now false. This will not be executed, and this will execute. So I'm just gonna change this while to for over here. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna compile it and run it, and you can see that output made no difference at all from while loop, which means you can use any of the loops you like. But the most used is usually the for loop, because it pretty much says everything in one statement, that hey, we have our counter as 0 first, we are going to run it till this condition is true, and we are going to increment it 1 by 1, or say we are going to increment it 10 at a time, plus equal to 10. So this will increment I by 10 in one go. So the first time I will be 0, the loop will run. Now I becomes 10. 10 is not less than 10, so the loop will run. To quickly show you, I'm just gonna compile it again quickly and run it. See, the loop runs only one time. So this is pretty much it about the for loop. And you can have loops inside loops, like you can have if statements inside if statements. You can have loops inside loops. Also, I forgot to tell you, you can have switch statements inside the cases of switch statements. So you can have nesting of pretty much anything you want in computers. So to do that, I'm just going to show you the nesting of for loop, because it's used quite a lot. For. So now here's the thing. I'm going to just assign it to plus plus. So now here's the thing. We are using I for this loop. Now I need to set something over here. If we use I again, say we set again I to 0, this will become an infinite loop, because this will set I to 0, then it will run its time, then this I will get incremented 1, but this will again set I to 0, and these I will clash with this I. So for the inner loop, we need a different loop control variable. We usually name it J, and we set J equal to 0 over here, and I'm gonna run it till J is less than 5 times, and then I'm gonna do J plus plus, and I'm going to print over here print, thank you, j loop j equal to %d \n, and I want my %d to be replaced by j, and I'm gonna end this. And also, you don't need to add these curly braces. If you just want to do one statement in the loop, it's fine. And I'm gonna change this height to I. So here's what will happen in this case. I will be 0 first. 0 is less than 10. It's true. It will come inside here. J will be set to 0. 0 is less than 5. It will run this loop. Now J will get incremented first. J will become 1. Again, this will be true. This will run. So on. J will be 4 now. This will run. And now J will become 5. So 5 is not less than 5. So this will not run anymore. So this will be printed. And then finally I will be incremented. So I will become now 1. Then 1 will be less than 10. Then again this will run the same way. Then again this will print. Then again I will be incremented by 1. Then it will become 2. So this will become run. So this loop will run 10 times. And this loop will run 5 times. And for each 1 time. And since this loop is running 10 times, this whole condition will be executed 10 times. So 5 and 10 becomes 50. So the total running of the loop will be 50. Because this is running 10 times and this is executing 10 times, and again this statement will execute 5 times each for that 10 times. So 5 times 10 is 50. So let me show you. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna compile it and run it. So here's the thing. So see. First I was 0. I was 0. This loop ran. J loop j equal to 0. J loop j equal to 1. J loop j equal to 2. J loop j equal to 3. J loop j equal to 4. 4i equals to 0. This. 4i1 again this. 4i2 again this. 4i3 again this. 7 so on till I9 again this. Then finally the outer loop got the condition false because I became 10, so neither of this will get executed and the code below will work fine. So this is nested loop. You can have another loop inside over here, then another loop in it, then another loop in it. So you can have as many loops as possible. And again, if you change this condition to something ridiculous, this will become infinite loop, which is not recommended to do. So now I'm going to talk about 2 statements called continue and break. So these are again flow control statements. Say for example, you don't want to print for I equal to 5. So what I'm going to do is, when I is equal to 5, I'm going to say, hey, when I is 5, skip that step. So this is how you're going to do it. If, I'm going to write an if statement, I is equal to 5, continue. I'm not using curly brackets because I just want to execute one statement. So what will this continue do is, if I is 5, this will continue, which means instead of going down and executing the statement, just continue the loop as if nothing happened. So when this I will be 5, this if statement gets executed, it will continue. Instead of executing this, it will just increment I by 1. So now I will become 6. This condition will be false and this will get executed. So let me just show you. Save it, compile it, run it. See, it printed for I 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for 5 it didn't print because I was 5 and this condition will be true, so this will get executed, which means continue. So the loop, instead of executing stuff, will continue now. So I will get incremented. So now I become 6. This condition will be false and then this will run. Hence you see I 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the continue statement. If you want to skip some steps, you can write continue statement. If you want to skip some range, say I want to skip from I from 5 to, say, I want to skip from I from 5 to, say, 8. So I'm gonna check if I is greater than 5, and oh wait, I'm gonna check if I is greater than 5 and I is less than 8. So this is essentially typing the same thing mathematically, like 5 I 8, which means that if I lies between 5 and 8, keep continuing, don't execute anything inside the loop, just continue the loop. So I'm going to show you that quickly. And see, if I is greater than 5, it printed 5, but it didn't print it 6 and 7, it printed 8. If I change this to less than equal to equal to comes always after the greater than or less than symbol. So remember that, guys. Now even the 5 and 8 will not be printed. So see, 1, 2, 3, 4, no 5, no 6, no 7, no 8, directly 9. So that is how you can use continue. And to use break is a condition. Break, I told you that it will break you out of the current block. So say when I equals to 5, you just want to break. You don't want to execute the loop further. You will write break instead of continue over here. And now what will happen when I5 will come, I equal to 5 will come, this condition will be true. This break will get executed, which will just take it out of this block, and the loop will not execute anymore. So for this thing, you will see the loop running till I4 and not anymore. So to show you quickly, see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why? Because I got incremented after 4, I became 5, so this condition was true, and break ran. So it again prison break the loop. So the loop got out of the prison and this got executed because this is still in the prison now. So that's what is the for loop is. That's how you use a break statement. There's another statement called goto statement, which I'm going to talk about right now. So I'm gonna remove all this. I'm gonna just remove all this quickly. For goto statements, you need labels. So I'm gonna label 1, and I'm gonna write a colon, and then I'm gonna write a statement, say print. I'm gonna print I %d. And what I'm gonna print %d after that, I need the value of I to be replaced by %d, and I need a new line after this. And I'm gonna enter a semicolon, and after that I'm gonna increment I++, and then I'm going to check over here if I is less than 10, go to label 1. I'm pretty sure that's how you write goto statements. I'm gonna save it. Gonna compile it. Okay, goto was wrong. Let's check if we type it like this. Save it. Compile it. Yep. And run it. So now what it did is I set a label over here. I labeled this line, and I said that print I over here, then add I, and if I is less than 10, go to label 1 again. So this is pretty much how your loops follows, but instead you just need to write 4, which are then converted into this statement essentially. So that's how it goes. I was 0, so it will print this first normally, I 0, then I will increment it by 1, so I becomes 1. Then it checks if I is greater than, if I is less than 10. Now I is 1. 1 is still less than 10, so this is true. So now it will go to label 1. It comes back over here. Then again does the same thing. Till I is 9. 9 is less than 10. Yes. Go to label 1. Prints I is 9. Then again increments I by 1. So I becomes 10 now. 10 is not less than 10. It will not execute this, it will execute this. So as you can see, it was the same output eventually as you got earlier. So this is the pretty much looping in C. We use for loops mostly, and then we use while loops. Do while loops are pretty less used. I have not used do while loop in any of my application development. So yeah. So that's it for this video. I have told you about every loop. So thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.